Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to do a little bit of sight reading to warm up, a little bit of tenor clef practice, and then we'll get rolling with our two major topics for today. Sight reading is out of page 48 in your course pack if you'd rather just read off of that. Otherwise, you can look on up here. This is from the Nunez Garcia Mass. And we're just going to sing through this soprano solo. And we're actually, for once, going to sing it in the clef that it's notated in. And we're going to sing on numbers. So here's a key for you. And you're starting on scale degree 4. The reason we're doing this particular excerpt is when we get to the second page, you have this really nice, fully arpeggiated 7/7 that we get to roll through. And then I wrote this here because on the downbeat of the third page, we resolved to tonic at the end of the phrase, and I just didn't want to have to keep turning the page. So that's where we go. That's why that's there for you. Let's start with the first page. So we'll take these three measures. Again, here's your key. You're starting on 4. Give this a look, and then we'll run through it a couple of times. Let's try it one time, just kind of cut you loose. I'll meet you at the end on scale degree 3 and see how you did. 1, 2, and 4. All right, let's do it one more time. This time I'll play with you so you can check yourself. 1, 2, and 4. All right, now your second phrase starts out sequentially, so we've just moved down a third, so now we're on diatonic 2. And as you're looking this over, be really, really cognizant of that flat 6. That's what makes our 7th chord fully diminished. So give this a read before we tackle it. And let's give it a whirl. 1, 2, and 2, 2, 2, 4. Sev, 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 1. All right, one more time. This time I'll play with you so you can check your chromatic note. 1, 2, and. Fine. Can we just sing through this one more time? Let's just go from here to the end, just to give you one more pass through that fully diminished 7th chord. On numbers, ready, and sev, 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 4, 2, sev, 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 1. Okay, fine. Now we're going to go back to the beginning, and this time we are going to just speak the solfege in tenor clef. So a little bit of tenor clef practice, but no pitches, just speaking the solfege as if it was in tenor clef. Lots of steps, and especially here, lots of thirds. So know where you are and be able to kind of switch your brain into third mode as we're going. Okay, we're just going to read through it on solfege, tenor clef, starting on re. 1, ready, and re, 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 fa, mi, re, do, si, do, do, si, si, re, do, si, la, so, si, re, fa, re, si, so, la. All right, fine. Warm up accomplished. Let's move into our first big topic of the day, which is revisiting these German 6/5 pivots. Now, in class on Tuesday, we took just a 5/7 of our original key, turned it into a German 6/5, and advanced into our new key, which was a half step below our original tonic. Today, we're going to explore a modulation that is actually a little bit more common kind of in the wild, and that is taking a 5/7 of 4 and turning it into a German 6/5. And we'll tease apart kind of why this might be the more common way to enact this modulation once we've sung through it. But let's get you set up with a bass line at least to start. 4 and 5. If you can't hear me, let me know because Zoom is talking to me. And 1. Okay, 5/7 of 4. Put yourself in a major key, I don't care what key it is. And find its 4. And spell up that 4 triad. So it's 5. What scale degree would that be built off of? Hopefully you found that your 5/7 of 4 is actually built off of scale degree 1. Which means in terms of numbers, you're going to sing 1, 3, 5. And then if you remember in a major key, if you build a 7th chord off of tonic, it's actually major major. So in order to turn this into a dominant quality, we've got to lower the 7th by a half step. So you're going to sing 1, 3, 5, and then a flat 7. The rest of the numbers you should be okay with. I'll give you the numbers for the 2, 6, 5, just in case. But can we sing this blue progression? So originating tonic, let's sing through that progression. Here's a key for you, and I'll play with you. Ready, and 1, 3, 5. Now you're going to sing that same triad, but add a minor 7th. Okay. Now that brings us to our pivot chord. Now we are going to turn that 5/7 of 4 into a German 6. So since we're going to a minor key, our German 6/5 is built off of regular old 6. And then we've got our dominant block, cadential 6, 4 to 5, and then 1. Just as a refresher, German 6 numbers 6, 1, 3, and sharp 4. And then humor me and sing the entire cadential 6, 4, as in with the octave on the outside. And then for your 5 chord, you can just sing a regular 5 triad, 5/7 2. Okay, can we go just from the pivot? So you're going to sing 1, 3, 5, 7, and then you're going to turn it into 6, 1, 3, sure, and then go from there. Remembering that from 6 to 5, you are going to have a half step in your bass. So from the pivot chord, first is a 5/7 of 4. Ready, and 1, 3. Change your numbers. 6. Half step down the bass. Same middle. Just a 5. And resolve. Minor key. Fine, fine, fine. Okay. Now, can we try and do the whole thing at once? I'll play a good deal with you this time. I'll set you sort of more independently the second time through. Let's see how you go. Ready, and Same triad, just add a seventh. Change your numbers. Half step resolution. Just a 5 triad. And resolve. Okay. Now, I want to put some letter names on this to kind of tease out why perhaps this particular modulation seems to be more popular than just using the 5-7. So we were in D major, so we had D in the bass to start, G, A, and then D for both tonic and the 5-7 of 4. So that means D was also in our bass for the German 6. We resolved down by half step to find our new scale degree 5, so that means C sharp. And if C sharp is scale degree 5, that means that scale degree 1 is F sharp, which means that we went from D major to F sharp minor. And this looks quite a lot like a lot of the modulations we've been doing so far this semester, in that the roots are related by third. These mediant related modulations were very kind of trendy at the start of Romanticism, kind of end of classicism into Romanticism. Playing with these mediant key relationships became very aesthetically popular. So spinning the 5-7 of 4 into a German 6-5 now gave composers another avenue through which to enact this mediant modulation. Okay, with that in mind, let's sing through it one more time. I'll play a little bit less and let you navigate a little more independently. From the top. Ready, and... Now build your 5-7. Turn into a German 6. Half step resolution. Just a 5. And resolve. Okay. Fine, fine, fine. All right, the other big topic for today, we are going to work through an already composed rhythm canon. So on Tuesday, I sent you off into breakout rooms to work on constructing a rhythm canon that kind of abides by all the parameters that we're looking for. Now we're going to just work off one that's already been composed. So what I have here is a 4-bar module. So here is my 4 bars of 2-4. And I wrote out the repeat. So there it is again. And then I also, on the second staff, wrote out those same 4 bars just in canon at the 1 measure with the top line. So you, in essence, have everything in front of you that you need. It's 9 measures total of music. Now, since we've been talking about these canons, I've been just sort of haphazardly calling lines like first line and second line and leader and follower. There are actual like big kid terms for these. I just haven't been using them. So we're going to use them now. When we're talking about canons, your lead line, so the line that starts, is referred to as the dux, D-U-X. And then the following line or lines, so you can have multi-voice canons, but we're just going to use 2. So your following line is called the comes. Now for your rhythm canon assignment, we'll be asking you for a plus to speak the dux and tap or clap the comes. if you get to the point in that assignment, and the video for that will publish sometime today, I have to film it after class. If you get to that point in the assignment where it's just like not happening, you can, for a pass, multi-track record yourself speaking both lines if like the polyrhythms are just like not happening in the body. So there is a way to navigate that that assignment if the actual physical polyrhythms are not happening. But we're gonna work towards speaking one line and tapping or clapping the other. So first thing we're going to do is can we just all ta and conduct the dukes together? It's not super hard, so I just want us all to ta and conduct through the dukes one time through. So here's your tempo, 1 and 2. Ta, 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 ta. Okay. Now, when you're practicing this on your own, I would 110% recommend that you use a metronome. It keeps you honest. It keeps things from like getting squirrely without you realizing it. Unfortunately, if I play a metronome and share my sound with you, there is a delay between the metronome and myself. So it makes it 10 times harder because then it sounds like you have two different tempos coming at you. So we're not going to use a metronome in class today, but when you're practicing on your own, absolutely, absolutely use one. Okay, we're going to break this down measure by measure. There's a good chance we will not get through all four measure combinations. My earlier class, we did not get through them, and that's totally fine. We are going to break this down, and right now we're going to focus on measure 2. So in the second beat of measure 2, we encounter our first polyrhythm, and that is 3 in the dukes over 2 in the comas. It is a Skills 2 polyrhythm, but we got to it at the very end of Skills 2 last semester. So I don't know how much kind of practice you got with it. So let's sort of revisit that now. So we are going to put imaginary repeat signs on this measure and just kind of go at it on a loop. So if you want to wait and listen to me do it a few times to get a sense of how it locks in, by all means go for it. If you just want to speak the dukes for a little while and feed in the comas as you get comfortable, that's fine. But let's just try out kind of what this is going to feel like. So measure 2 on constant loop. Tempo back here, 1 and 2. Ta, 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 ta. Okay. Since I cannot be in a physical space with you and I have no idea how this is going, can you, in the chat, either to the group or to me privately, just let me know, scale of 1 to 10. How does a 2 against 3 polyrhythm feel? 1 being, it feels very not good, and 10 being, this is comfy. Cool, cool, cool. Sweet. All right, so everything looks like the 2 against 3 is pretty okay for the folks that answered. So we are going to now look at measure 3. Measure 3 itself is, once we break it down, it's not that tricky. It's a matter of understanding that measure 3 is in essence a pulse of triplets that is just divided in different ways among the dukes and the comas. And what I mean by that is I'm just going to draw what is in essence a triplet pulse stream underneath the measure. So this is just a stream of 8th note triplets. Now we already know that the quarter note triplets are 8th note triplets that are paired up, right? We did a lot of practice with that. So your dukes, you're going to speak on the downbeat. You're going to hit that triplet and then that guy right there. Now, the comes, you've got a regular quarter note, and then you just come in on the second beat with a set of eighth note triplets. The challenge is you don't speak the second beat. You only articulate it when you're clapping. So then your comes comes in and articulates all of those pulses. This sounds and looks, I think, a lot more complicated than if we actually just do it. So what I'm going to start with, and you're going to have tons of options as we work through this. I'm going to start by just clapping quarter notes and speaking triplets. And you can say triplet, you can ta, whatever floats your boat. So I'm just going to clap quarters and speak triplets. Ta, 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 ta. Now, I'm going to start pairing off my triplets in twos. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Those are my quarter note triplets, right? Now, I'm going to continue doing that, but I'm going to clap the entire comes measure. So quarter and triplets. So I'll feed in a measure of lead in. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So now you sort of get a sense of how that's starting to fit together. Last step is to take all those 1, 2s and smush them together so that you just get the quarter note triplets. So it sounds something like this. Ta, 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 ta. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, ta, ta, ta. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, ta, 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 ta. Okay. Can we all try that? If you weren't playing around with it that last time, let's all give that one more try. So just measure 3. And again, we're kind of going to put some little repeats on there. I'm going to change as we go sort of what I'm saying, what I'm speaking, so that if you're doing different things, you can see if we're matching up. But measure 3 on indefinite repeat. 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Ta, 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 ta. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Ta, 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 ta. Okay. Measure 3 in its bubble. Scale of 1 to 10. How did just measure 3 feel? And that measure 3 is not a polyrhythm. It's just a funky layering of things. It's polyrhythmish. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. So this is about in line with everyone else today as well. Now, the really big challenge comes when we try and put measures 2 and 3 together. That's where everything kind of went off the rails in my earlier classes. So let's just try putting them together now and see what happens, and then we'll troubleshoot what fell apart and why. Can we just do measure 2? Measure 2 just by itself to get it back in your body. Just measure 2, 1 and 2. Ta, 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 ta. Okay, now can we do measures 2 and 3? And remember, you're speaking this triplet, so keep that in your inner ear, because that triplet is what is going to lead you into all of those subdivisions in the next measure, and that's why I put it there specifically. Okay, measures 2 and 3 just by themselves. 1 and 2. Ta, 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 ta. Can we try it again? 1 and 2. Ta, 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 ta. One more time. 1 and 2. Ta, 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 ta. Scale of 1 to 10. Let me know how that combination went. All right, this is all about this is all in line with everyone else earlier today. So about where I'm expecting. Let's keep going. So let's keep going with just those two measures. I want to just kind of attack them on their own. And then in the last like 2 minutes, we'll look at measure 4, but not worry too much about it. So measures 2 and 3. Can we just pair them off again? 1 and 2. Ta, 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 ta. Again. 1 and 2. Ta, 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 ta. Okay, I need you to, this is going to be a little bit of like potentially awkward individual work, but find the beat or beats that are not working. So if it's this, if it's this, if it's getting from here to here, and take like 30 seconds and just knock it out on your own and see if you can sort of attack whatever is troublesome in the next couple of seconds. This may or may not be helpful, but if measure 3 is still troubling to you, I'm going to actually number out the pulse stream too. So if you go through that measure then and are actually counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes putting numbers on it makes it very, very clear precisely where things are happening. So even though I didn't notate it perfectly beautifully, you can see that these are actually happening at the same time when you parse it out in numbers like that. So if you're a number person like me, that might be helpful. Can we take just measure 3? Just measure 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Ta, 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 ta. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 2 into 3. 1 and 2. Ta, 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 ta. One more time. Let's go from the beginning now. I trust that you can add the first measure in. So let's go from the beginning. 1 and 2. Ta, 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 ta. One more time. 1 and 2. Ta, 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 ta. Okay. The actual, and you might not want to hear this, but the worst part of this is that measure. And we are out of time, so we're not going to get to it. However, I'm going to share my browser and my sound. We don't have to be in time for you to actually hear this. So in the last minute, I'm going to share something with you really quickly. This may or may not be helpful for you, but I'm going to show it to you regardless and see if you like it. All right, so what I'm showing you then is my messy desktop, I think. All right, so what I have pulled up here is what's called a polyrhythm generator. And
I will share the link with you in the chat in a second. But in essence, what it does, I don't know if you can hear it. I've got a weird feedback thing going on. But this is 4 against 3. And you can toggle these sliders to add in 2s and 7s and whatever you want. But this is 4 against 3 playing at you. And you can change the volume of one of them. So now the 4 is louder. And that lets you hear how the 3 fits in. So,
link to that in the chat. And if you want to just kind of get on there and mess around with it, I really love things like that because it gets the feel of the polyrhythm in my body. And once I really know what it feels like, I have an easier time kind of transporting that into the instances in which I actually need to express it. So once you get the sense of that polyrhythm composite feel, you might have then an easier time transporting that into your rhythm canon. Okay, we will definitely attack 4 against 3 in class on Tuesday. Sorry, we ran out of time today. I am officially, I think, done with grading. So, and I'll send an email out about this. If there's something in there that looks funky, that you know you resubmitted something and it looks like I did not get it or didn't grade it, please let me know. Again, there's a weird glitch in the Google Classroom matrix and it just like doesn't send stuff into my queue sometimes. So let me know because I'm submitting midterm grades soon. So I'll send you out an email about that. Okay, thank you guys for your work. Sorry I kept you late, and I will see you all on Tuesday.
Thank you. Have a good week.
You're welcome.
Weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.